Hi, this is Lisa with a walk down memory lane. We are going to play today with some distress stains. We are going to use the Wild Honey color. We are going to use a Maya Road overlay. It's a plastic overlay that we are going to use today as a mask. So we are going to start with a base of some white cardstock. I have my overlay ready. I just took some removable adhesive and put that adhesive on a few key areas on my template here so that it didn't go anywhere. And we are going to lay the overlay kind of centered on the page as best as we can. I'm going to press that overlay down so that it's on there nice and sticky. Now, just to give you a little fair warning, if you don't have your template on there just perfect, you're going to have some ink that will seep through, and that's totally okay with me anyway. Because we're playing with ink, we're not necessarily going to get something that is 100% accurate. But again, that's okay with me. So we're just shaking up the distress stain, and we're going to uncap it. And you can see on the top here we've got a little sponge applicator, and you're just gonna flip that over and press that down on your mat, and you'll feel that kind of little release give just a little bit, and you'll feel that little cap give just a little bit to prime that sponge. So you're just gonna take your distress ink and we're just gonna rub that right into the cardstock. You can go as much or as little ink as you want. The more ink you use, obviously, the darker it's going to be. You need a little bit more ink. Just squeeze and you'll feel that ink come to the surface of your applicator. We are working with the Wild Honey color today. It's a really pretty mustardy, yellow, orangey, rusty orange kind of color. Chose that color today because my layout is using Jilly Bean Soup's Dutch Mustard Soup. I love that. I know it's a year-old line, I think, already, but it is a really beautiful color combination for fall. So I guess that's the reason why I chose the color. The stains that we're using today is a little bit newer product. They released these at CHA in January. And the really cool thing about this, we could do this with the ink pad and a distress or a blending foam tool, but I tend to find that when I do that, these little pieces of the template get stuck in my foam and kind of lifts and whatever, and I don't find that happens nearly as often when I'm using this applicator, this little sponge applicator on the ink instead, on the stain. And it's a little nicer if you're doing a great big 12 by 12 piece of paper like we're using here today. If you were doing just a card, or if you're doing a tag or something, then the applicator works just fine. But when we're doing something bigger like this, I do like this stain doesn't take nearly as long. Another thing that I like about this is you get a really nice even color when you're working with this. I can't do as much blending as much blending. You can still do some, but not quite as much as you can with the blending tool. But on the layout that we're doing today, I just don't want to get a nice base of this rusty orange color. So there we go. We have our paper all stained up, and with my fingers and arms got stained up too. So just a hint, make sure you put your cap back on when you're working, because I tipped mine over and now I have a beautiful orange stain. Anyway, on the craft sheet here, you can see it just wipes up really well wherever I have a little bit of excess stain here. Just wipes up really, really well just with a plain old paper towel. So now I'm just kind of wiping off my overlay of any excess stain. Making sure everything's off there. And you can see now when the stain is clean, you can see in some spots where the ink kind of seeped underneath. So I'm not going to get a real great crisp line in this particular spot because it seeped underneath. But yeah, I'm okay with that. When you're working with ink, you just can't be picky. So we're going to undo this removable adhesive. We're going to set that off to the side somewhere. And this is our finished paper. As you can see, it's still wet, so we've got some places where it is darker than others. Once the ink has dried, it's going to be a nice, even, wild honey color. I've done one already. Probably 5-10 minutes ago, and my paper is still just a little bit wet, but I want to work with a little bit of vintage photo and work those around some of the edges. So we are going to grab, sorry about the arm shot, we're going to take a blending tool now with some vintage photo, rub that in, and I'm just going to work on my edges here. If you've never worked on the craft sheet with this ink, you kind of start with little circles over on the edges and then just kind of work your way onto your paper. I love this technique. It gives a nice blended look. You don't see where you stopped and started. And isn't that beautiful, this edge here? So we're going to do that all the way around my 12 by 12 cardstock here. Just kind of give it just a little bit of a darker edge. And if you want, you can take this and really swirl it into more of the middle of the page if you want. I'm thinking I'm just going to leave it just along the edge so that we've got a little bit of a burnt edge look. There we go. So now we really have a really nice, you can see that nice blended edge there. It's just gorgeous. All right, I will work on my layout a little bit and I will show you when we're done. Thanks for joining us at A Walk Down Memory Lane.